Welcome back to The Explainer, everyone. Today, we are diving into a truly phenomenal urban development story. We're unpacking exactly how a sleepy, kind of overlooked industrial town completely reinvented itself into a premium residential hub. And get this, it did it in exactly 1 decade. Whether you're an investor, an urban planner, or maybe just a homebuyer, this right here is your textbook case study on how infrastructure and market timing can literally rewrite the map. The before and after contrast is just wild. Back in 2016, Modinagar was, well, it was mostly known as a dusty transit point. Highly industrial, famous mainly for its sugar mills, right? Fast forward to 2026, and we're talking lush green belts, luxury townships, and a booming residential hub. So how on earth does a city make a massive leap like that in just 10 short years? Let's figure it out. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for The Explainer. We're going to break this transformation down into 4 distinct eras. First, the seeds of infrastructure. Second, the pandemic pivot. Third, the RRTS explosion. And finally, Modinagar's new standard. Anchoring ourselves and mapping out this decade chronologically is absolutely crucial. Usually, urban development, it takes generations to play out. But here, we can literally track the entire evolution across these super tight multi-year windows, starting right back in 2016 and bringing us all the way up to the present day. All right, let's kick things off with Era 1, the seeds of infrastructure, covering 2016 to 2019. To really set the scene for you, back in the mid-2010s, Modinagar was just sort of out there on the outskirts of Ghaziabad. It was mostly independent houses, definitely not a place your average Delhi commuter would seriously consider. But then, the first dominoes fell. 2 massive government announcements completely flipped the region's trajectory: the Delhi Merit Expressway and the Regional Rapid Transit System, or RRTS. Now, shovels hadn't even fully hit the dirt yet, but smart investors, they immediately took a wait-and-watch approach. They knew for sure that if these connectivity promises actually materialized, this industrial belt was going to turn into a suburban powerhouse. Which brings us to our second phase, the pandemic pivot, from 2020 to 2022. Right as those initial infrastructure seeds were taking root, a massive global event obviously reshaped, well, everything. So here's a question for you. Why do you think there was this sudden, absolutely massive surge in demand for spacious 3 BHK flats in Modinagar during the pandemic? I mean, it seems totally counterintuitive for a known industrial town, doesn't it? Well, the answer really boils down to one incredibly powerful realization: space versus smog. Think about it. During lockdowns, folks living in those super congested, highly expensive pockets of Delhi and Noida literally felt trapped. They wanted out, and fast. Suddenly, having an extra room for a home office wasn't just a luxury, it was an absolute necessity. People were craving breathing room, and they straight up demanded a cleaner environment. And this brilliantly illustrates how buyer psychology completely shifted the market. This pandemic-driven demand gave rise to Modinagar's very first wave of secure, amenity-rich gated communities. Buyers were officially done settling for unorganized colonies. They wanted the whole shebang. Modern townships like Moti City started popping up, bringing in top-notch security, beautiful green spaces, and real community facilities. The baseline for what people expected from their living space just fundamentally changed overnight. Moving right along to our third era, the RRTS explosion, spanning 2023 to 2025. So, the pandemic created the initial itch to move, sure, but it was the operational infrastructure finally coming online that actually made it feasible. Check this out. Before the Namo Bharat RRTS was up and running, a daily commute to Delhi was this grueling, totally unpredictable 90 to 120-minute slog. But after the RRTS, that exact same trip was slashed down to just 35 to 45 minutes, literally cut in half. This new transit system practically erased the geographical distance entirely. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the staggering financial impact of that slashed commute time. Because the distance essentially shrank, property values in Modinagar absolutely skyrocketed. We're talking about a massive 40 to 60% jump in just a 3-year window. That is some serious, incredible compounding growth right there. But, it wasn't just the slashed commute times causing this. It was a perfect storm. At the exact same time the RTS came online, traditional hubs like Noida were becoming wildly unaffordable for the middle class. So you had this massive influx of young professionals working in Delhi who looked over at Modinagar, realized they could easily make the commute, and found that 2 BHKs here were hitting that perfect, affordable sweet spot for high-quality living. And that brings us to the present day, with Era 4, Modinagar's new standard, 2026. So let's take a look at what a solid decade of compounding growth has actually built for us today. Modinagar is definitely no longer considered far away. It has evolved into a fully self-sustained ecosystem. The residential boom dragged massive commercial growth right along with it. We're seeing large retail brands, modern multiplexes, and advanced healthcare facilities. Plus, with major institutional players like SRM University anchoring the area, rental yields have stayed consistently high. You've even got luxury plots approved by the Ghaziabad Development Authority featuring underground cabling and smart security, stuff that was literally unthinkable around here 10 years ago. So the crucial point is how this incredible decade represents a total paradigm shift. When you walk through the hard data side by side, it's night and day. Travel time to Delhi? Cut by more than half. The primary property standards shifted all the way from unorganized local houses straight to luxury townships. Air quality went from dusty and industrial to featuring some seriously beautiful green belts. And the popular choice for buyers graduated from small 1 BHKs to these spacious gated 3 BHK flats. Now, if you take away just one core thesis from this explainer today, it's gotta be Modinagar's real success formula. Strong connectivity combined with high affordability. That right there is the absolute bedrock of this transformation. As corporate hubs keep steadily moving northward up the NCR corridor, this specific intersection of lightning-fast transit and accessible pricing is exactly what's going to keep driving consistent, long-term demand. Which leaves us with a genuinely exciting final thought to ponder. We have watched a sleepy town completely wake up and reinvent itself. But if the last 10 years were just about building the potential, laying the tracks, creating the townships, setting up the foundation, what is the performance of the next 10 years going to look like? It's a fascinating question for anyone keeping an eye on urban development. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep asking those big questions and keep learning.